Hello and welcome to InFocus. I am G. Sampath. The 2025 French Open is all set to kick off this Sunday. And in a strange way, this is going to be a historic event because this is the first French Open to happen after the retirement of Rafael Nadal. And he, as we all know, is the king of clay. So, compared to all the previous years, more than a decade, in fact, it's going to be a very different kind of a draw this year. People are looking forward to this new rivalry between Jannik Sinner, the current world number one, and Carlos Alcaraz. There is also a lot of interest in and anticipation over Novak Djokovic's attempt to have one last hurrah before he retires in the form of a 25th Grand Slam. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. And on the women's side too, it's really exciting a field because the last year's champion Iga Swiatek is unfortunately out of form, and there are a number of other contenders like Jasmine Paolini, the Rome Open champion, Coco Gauff, and of course the world number one Aryna Sabalenka as well. So the draw is out now. It came out on Thursday, and to discuss the draw and other related matchups and interesting stories and narratives about the dark horses and so on, we have N. Sudarshan from the Hindu Sports Bureau, who has been tracking tennis for us for a long time. Sudarshan, welcome to the pod.
Thanks so much, Sampath. It's a pleasure being here.
Great to have you. And Sudarshan, to start with, can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the men's draw? I mean, what are your initial impressions, and what are you looking forward to from what we have seen so far?
The initial impressions are that it seems a bit of a tricky draw for Sinner. He is in the top half, and Alcaraz seemingly, comparatively, has a cleaner and supposedly easier draw in the bottom half. Sinner is coming back, like you mentioned in your introductory note, and he seems to have been quickly off the blocks. He reached the final in Rome. Though he lost to Alcaraz, I think he would have taken it. He would have taken a final finish. There is Djokovic, Zverev, who was supposed to take over the world number one spot in the absence of Sinner. He has not been doing that well since he reached the Australian Open final. So he'll be another one to watch out for. And first Grand Slam, first French Open without Nadal. So that itself is a beginning of a new era. And like you said, we do expect Alcaraz and Sinner to lead the way, like they have done in the last five slams. They have split those last five slams between them. And Alcaraz is back to form. He had titles in Monte Carlo and Rome. This is a period during which he has consistently done well. He's the defending champion also, and he should be doing well. Like I said, the top quarter is pretty loaded. There is Sinner, there is Draper, Djokovic, Zverev. Djokovic and Zverev are, I think, drawn to meet in the quarters. So first quarter is a bit of a heavy quarter. Rest of it sort of is pretty lean, I would say.
Right, and between this time between the Australian Open and the present moment, a lot of next gen stars have sort of made their presence felt. In the Australian Open, we had someone like Leonard Tien, the teenager who beat, I think, Medvedev, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have Jakub Menchik winning a Masters 1000 event. And then you also have people like Joao Fonseca, who has impressed everybody, and he's supposed to be the next Alcaraz, at least from the way he plays and his ability to draw crowds. He's a big crowd favorite as well. So what are your thoughts on these new generation of players, Menchik, Fonseca, Leonardin, and also the local hero Arthur Fils? Do you think they are yet at a stage where they can sort of challenge the big guns like Sinner and Alcaraz, or do they still have some way to go before we can expect them to reach the later stages of a Grand Slam like the French Open?
Like you mentioned, very exciting crop of players. I do feel they have some time to go before they get on par with the existing leading guys in men's tennis. And weirdly, I think Leonard Tien, Fonseca, Mensik, Arthur Fils, they're all in the top half. And actually, if I can just read out, Fonseca is opening against Hurkacz. Both are good, tall players, powerful players, and the winner could beat Menchik in the.
Hurkacz was out of form for a long time. Now he's had a coaching change, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, he's back, and he's always a dangerous player. And he is a when you see him, he seems very natural at tennis. He enjoys his time on the court, and always a tricky player to face. And Mensik and Fonseca could meet in the second round. It's a blockbuster match, and they've all done well in the recent past. Like Menchik won Miami Masters, if I'm right, beating Djokovic in the final, and then Fonseca won clay tournament in Argentina. Like South American clay is always a tough proposition because there are a lot of players who start their preparation early in South America. Like he beat Serendolo in the final, which is no easy task. They were born and bred on clay, and they are pretty tough guys to beat. So that's a great start to one's career. And I think he also equaled Alcaraz's record as the youngest clay court finalist. So Fonseca is coming with a good form, and I think they are also very close to Sinner in where their placement is in the draw. And there's also Arthur Fields, whose name you mentioned. His better surface seems to be clay because three of his five tournaments win victories have come on clay, but he's not had a very good time in Paris because I think he's lost in the first round in both the previous years. So he would want to correct that. But he is a good player on this surface. And Lernatien had that breakout win against Medvedev, but since then he has not been that good, I would say. Hard seems to be his better surface, but he is young, he's dangerous, and he comes with a lefty flourish, which in Nadal's absence, a lot of people would want more of. So, and yeah, so these are the names. I like I said at the beginning, exciting names, but still a long way to go.
Right, and among the in the men's field, one of the names which many people are talking about, especially given his performance in the clay swing, but who's generally some has this tendency to go under the radar in these kinds of discussions is Lorenzo Musetti. He's had like deep runs in every clay court tournament he's entered, but somehow he doesn't seem to be able to get over the line more often than not. Like, how do you fancy his chances in the French Open?
He's been in very good form. I think he is up to number 8 in the world. This is his best ranking ever, and he also has a not so intimidating start. I think he is drawn to meet Holger Rune in the third round, whom on clay in present form I would pick Musetti to win. So he is a damn good player. He did very well, like you said, in the lead up. He seems to be made for the natural surfaces. Like he does well on clay, he does well on grass. He has great hand-eye coordination, last minute adjustments, and the natural surfaces where there is still some amount of unpredictability, and so he seems to do very well. Confidence is pretty high. He is riding the wave of the Italian tennis boom also. So I expect him to do well. At least anything less than a quarterfinal finish will be disappointing for him.
Right, and what about this lost generation of players, so to speak? I think Tsitsipas he has made the finals. I think more than once, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe once at the French Open and a couple of other Grand Slam finals. But he seems to have lost his way. What with the coaching situation to do with his dad, and he's not really been able to make his mark felt, and seems to be overtaken by the next generation. So to speak, he was competing with the lights of the big three, but now he's sort of the next big three is sort of taking over. So, where do you think this could be a breakout event for him, or he's still continuing to sort of look for solutions and not find them? This has been the case for him for at least for the last 1 year or so.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, he seems an enigma. So nobody knows what we are going to get with him. And unlike in the last years, he has not done well in the clay tune-ups also, because there is a history of him doing well in one of the three masters at least. I think he is a multiple-time champion in Monte Carlo, if I'm not wrong. And this time, when he actually won in Dubai, people thought things might change for the better. But he still has these patterns into which he gets sucked into during matches, and he's not able to break out of it. Now, a coaching situation, the multiple coaching arrangements, maybe that's having an effect. Like his backhand, 100 backhand, as beautiful as it is to watch, sometimes it is his bane also, because he doesn't seem to get out of those patterns when people pin him to the backhand deep on a hard court or a clay court. So there's still slight things that he might have to overcome in his game. It's not like he cannot, but I'm not sure if I can see that happening at the French Open.
Right. Now, moving to the women's side of the draw, Sudarshan, what does it look like? I mean, Swiatek, she's the defending champion. She's won it like I think three times, maybe four times, I think. Yeah, and but she's not really done much, not just in the clay swing, but for the last, I think, more since the last French Open, And Coco Gauff seems to be in some sort of a form, but she's been bested by Jasmine Paolini, who was the runners-up last year. And clay is, I think, not Sabalenka's favorite surface either. But some people are also talking up Xinwen Zheng, who has been doing pretty well, and she's always been strong on clay, but really again has never really made had a deep run at the French Open. So, what are your thoughts on the women's draw?
First impression is that, like you said, Fiontek has a pretty tough draw, and she has not been doing that well. I think this is the first time in 5 seasons that she has not won a clay court preparatory tournament. I mean, not even reached a final. And she herself is not very confident, going by her statements. She said she needs something special to do well. She has had, by her own admission, she has had trouble with her movement, with her training time, and so since that tough loss in the Australian Open semifinals, it's been a very difficult period for her. She is, I think, drawn to meet Ostapenko, a former champion here, as early as the third round. And Ostapenko has a 6-0 record against Swiatek. She's
I mean, I really find it quite intriguing and also amusing. They're both characters in their own right, but to have a 6-0 record against the world number one, for someone who's been the world number one for a long time, how does it really work? Is it a matchup issue? What is it about Ostapenko that Swiatek is not able to handle? Or what is it about Swiatek that Ostapenko seems to love so much?
Ostapenko plays against every player the same way, and she plays at an extremely frenetic pace. And she doesn't sort of care whether it's the first serve, it's the spin, second serve. She just goes for broke in every single shot. And Swiatek has always found it tough when players hurry her. And there have been patterns in their matches where Swiatek's first serve is not deadly, but it's safe. But against Ostapenko, it sort of breaks down because she's trying to do things that she might not or normally do against other players. Like she's trying to get it beyond Ostapenko's strike zone. And but for Ostapenko, the problem is that her strike zone is so big because she doesn't change her approach to any other player. So I think she hurries Swiatek into a lot of mistakes. But it's also a very divine coincidence because players with such tactics, at least at some point, it'll break down. But weirdly, against Swiatek, it always seems to work. So it's not like Swiatek cannot beat her, but it's just an amazing coincidence that it is 6-0. There are some troubling aspects, but she can get over it. Yeah.
Also, I think that Swiatek uses an extreme Western grip, I think, which doesn't really help
Yeah.
her if she gets hurried on her shots, on her forehands.
True. And she is drawn to meet Sabalenka in the semis. Swiatek is drawn to meet Sabalenka in the semis, but before that, she has to beat Paolini, the informed player who won Rome. And when she reached the final last year, it seemed like a surprise, but since then, she has been remarkably consistent. She also plays doubles in every tournament she enters, and she just likes playing. She's a joy to watch, and she is in form. She's up to number four, so a potential quarterfinal between Swiatek and Paolini. But if she can actually get through Ostapenko, Paolini, and Sabalenka and do something extraordinary at the French Open, it can sort of resurrect her career. And Roland Garros is something where she knows how to do it. She's a four-time champion, three-time defending champion. It's extremely tough, but if she can do it, nothing like it. And Sabalenka's chances are higher this time because of what's happening around her. Swiatek is not in form. Gauff reached two finals, but she still seems a bit undercooked or doesn't still seem like a clay court player because she is a finalist here, but she has continuing problems with her forehand and serve. The service, especially in Rome, I think in the semifinal win over Zheng, I think she served 16 double faults, and it was some 3.5 hours slugfest. She has the legs and the patience to last those matches, but I don't know if she still has those. skills to outsmart players on clay yet. So that's a thing that we need to watch out for. Sabalenka seems to do well on faster clay like Stuttgart, Madrid, and Roland Garros. She has had encouraging results in the last 2 years. I think she has one semi-final and one quarter-final finish. Last year, she was also slightly ill. And if she can do some damage, this is the year. I think she has the conditions going for her in the form of how the players around her are playing. And she's also in decent form, actually, very good form. She's playing at her best tennis in the last a few months. She also won in Madrid, reached I think she had a good result in Stuttgart also. She lost, I think, to Ostapenko in the final, or I'm not sure where. But she has had encouraging results, so she is one to watch out for, I would say.
Right. I was reading your excellent profile of Paolini, the other day, and I was just wondering, wouldn't she be one of the shortest players to win if she were to win the Grand Slam? On the men's side, we know that height has become a big factor. All the top 10 players are at least 6 feet one, if not more, and this has been a pattern that has been building up over the years. But on the women's side, height doesn't seem to play such a big role. We have people like Rybakina, and I think Shinwen Zheng is also 6 feet tall, if not maybe more than 6 feet. And there are a lot of tall players, but the shorter ones still seem to sort of make a big impact. Like Paolini, I think Ostapenko is also not particularly tall. So, what is this factor? How do the shorter players manage on the women's side? I mean, don't they have the same disadvantages like that the shorter players on the men's side might have?
Uh, I would say that though there are taller players, like Sabalenka is pretty tall, and like you mentioned, Rybakina is pretty tall, and Zheng is also pretty tall. But the serve, I haven't seen yet a serve that is as deadly as Serena Williams is on the women's tour. Now, if your serve is not that big of a weapon, yes, these people do have the physical attributes to make their serve a big weapon. I think Zheng is a great example. She actually serves remarkably well. Like the last year when she did well in Asia in the post US Open phase, her serve worked very well, and she got a lot of free points on the serve. So
But
that
she has a
serve,
very awkward and uncertain serve motion,
yeah,
Zheng.
yeah, and it is pretty effective. And I haven't yet seen serves that are like on par with Serena, because Serena used to get a lot of her game flowing from the serve. So that may actually neutralize a lot of advantage that a higher, I mean, a taller player might have. And clay is also a place where the ball loses speed very quickly. So unless you are extremely good in placing your serves and with uh, what do you say, deadly power, the serve is still not such a big option. And Paulini's movement is great. Like she transitions throughout the court very well. A lot of players generally find it tough to move from the back to the front, front to the back. I think doubles play and a lot of singles matches, the way she moves is pretty good. So I would say that on this surface, especially, her height is not that big of a disadvantage.
Right. Now, coming to the Indian challenge or the lack of it, Sudarshan, I mean, Sumit Nagal, his preferred surface, his clay, he's India's number one player, but he's had a pretty indifferent clay season, and he also lost in the second round of qualifying of the French Open. So, what's been going on with him? Do we know what exactly is the issue? Is it some injury thing that he's carrying, or is it just he's out of form? Like, what is going on?
As far as I know, there's no physical trouble, but it is just, I mean, below par form, I would say. Clay is his best surface, and he made the decision earlier in the year, sometime in February, to straight away move to the South American clay and play. He did get into a couple of main draws after qualifying in Buenos Aires and things. He made that choice to not to play the Indian Challenger swing, where he would have been top seed pretty much everywhere, because I think he was just inside the top 100, and he was also defending points in Chennai, where he had won the last year. So there was 100 points to defend. He made the strategic move to go to South America and play, but that didn't turn out well. The first two, three tournaments he didn't play that well, and immediately those 100 points that you won the previous year goes out of the window, and you are down 150, 160, and you're back playing on the Challenger circuit. So this has been sort of this thing. He made I mean, he took a chance. It didn't work out, and now I think he's closer to 200 than 150 and 100. And the tough thing for him is he has winners points and a finalist point in June to defend again. Though he did well in June last year at two clay challengers, so he has in excess of 125 points to defend there. So he needs very good results very quickly in order to not slip out of 200. But it is pretty unfortunate because every year he seems to do well in one half of the year and not so well in the second half of the year. But since he's, as far as I know, he's not going through any physical troubles. Uh, the problem for him was also that he couldn't get solid training blocks. Like even in the off season, I think he was playing the tennis Premier League. Now that he's out of Roland Garros, he might get those 2.5 to 3 weeks of training block that he might need to set right a few things.
He's still working with Nensel as his coach,
Yeah,
or is,
and Somdev as his mentor. Yeah,
sorry, Somdev.
Somdev is his mentor, so he travels with him on and off. So yeah.
Okay, one last question, Sudarshan, before we wrap up. So as we sort of come to the close of this episode, this preview, what are the matchups that are really exciting for you, especially in the early rounds? Because there is, as you said, one half of the draw is pretty loaded. If for a spectator tennis buff, which are the matchups that you should sort of look out for?
I think two matches on women's side especially stick out. I think we have Osaka versus Badoza in the first round, and
Okay, yeah.
uh, Rybakina versus Bencic. Osaka versus Badoza should be good because Badoza played really well last year and she was a WTS comeback player of the year. She got back to the positions where she would ideally like to be. And Osaka, mind you, last year she had a match point against Swiatek before Swiatek won the match and went on to win the tournament. And this time, Osaka actually dropped herself to the lower rungs, played a few challenger level tournaments, though they are not called challengers on the women's side, those level of tournament. And then she also had an encouraging run in Rome with reaching the fourth round. So that is one matchup to see. Zheng is actually opening against Pavlyuchenkova, who is a former finalist here. 2021, she was in the final. And on the men's side, we have Medvedev versus Cam Norrie. Norrie is not the player he was, but still, he comes with some amount of pedigree. And Fonseca versus Hurkacz is one match that I would watch out for. It might be a fun match. And Zverev opens against Leonard Tien. So that's an interesting proposition. And Djokovic, I think, opens against Mackenzie McDonald, who famously beat Nadal in the first round in 2023 Australian Open. So these are the matchups I would watch out for. And I think we should also keep an eye on Casper Ruud, whom we didn't talk about. He is a good clay courter. He thought he won in Madrid, but the loss to Sinner at Rome was really bad. So I don't know how damaging it will be, but he is a
He
capable.
seemed to put on a brave face. He said, I was actually, he was smiling and, saying that I was actually enjoying the whole thing watching from the other side of the court. Was he just trying to put on a brave face, or do you think it must have damaged him to be sort of beaten down like this 6-love, 6-1?
Yeah, the scoreline does suggest so, but I think he is drawing from his experience in Roland Garros from the past. He is a two-time finalist, so he does know how to win, and it has not been that bad a lead up because he did win in Madrid, which was probably his first ever Masters title. He's one of those very different kind of players who has reached three Grand Slam finals but hadn't won a Masters tournament at all. So I think he should be fairly confident of how he can do, regardless of that bad beatdown against Sinner.
Right. Thank you so much, Sudarshan. It's going to be an exciting tournament, a lot of interesting matchups to look out for. And that's all I have for you in this episode. Thank you so much once again. Pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you, Sampath. Thank you so much.